approximately 5 to 7 minutes, perfect for a talk, presentation, or recording. 5-minute history commentary. Peterborough Cathedral. Standing tall in the center of the city, Peterborough Cathedral is one of the most complete and magnificent Norman buildings in Europe. Officially named the Cathedral Church of St. Peter, St. Paul, and St. Andrew, its history stretches back nearly 1,400 years, filled with fire, destruction, royalty, and survival. Our story begins in the year 654 AD. At that time, this site was known as Meadhamstead, and it was chosen by Peter, king of Mercia, to be a monastery. It became one of the very first centers of Christianity in central England. However, peace did not last. In 870, Viking raiders swept through the region. They destroyed the monastery completely, killing the monks and burning the buildings to the ground. Only one stone survives from that era, the famous header stone, carved with images of Christ and the apostles, which you can still see inside today. For almost a century, the site lay in ruins, until it was refounded in 966 AD as a Benedictine abbey by King Edgar. It was around this time that the name changed to Peterborough, meaning Peter's fortified place, dedicated to St. Peter. Over the next 150 years, it grew wealthy and powerful, famous across the country for holding a precious relic, the arm of St. Oswald, which drew pilgrims from far and wide. But disaster struck again in 1116. A massive fire broke out, destroying almost the entire abbey, including the church and all its treasures. Just 2 years later, in 1118, the monks began rebuilding on a grand scale. This is the construction that gave us the building we recognize today. Built in the bold, solid Norman style, also called Romanesque, with massive round arches and thick columns, the work took over 120 years to finish. It was finally consecrated in 1238. Two features from this period make Peterborough truly unique. First, the spectacular west front, completed around 1300. Instead of 2 towers, it features 3 gigantic soaring Gothic arches, a design found nowhere else in Europe. Second, look up at the ceiling. Between 1230 and 1250, craftsmen painted the wooden roof beams with patterns, leaves, and figures. It is the only surviving medieval painted wooden ceiling of its kind in England, and one of just 4 in the whole of Europe. Moving into the 16th century, the abbey became the stage for major events in English history under the Tudors. In 1536, Catherine of Aragon, the first wife of King Henry VIII, and the queen whose marriage sparked the English Reformation, died at nearby Kimbolton Castle. Because she remained a Catholic and refused to recognize Henry's new church, she was buried here at Peterborough Abbey with great ceremony. Her tomb remains a place of pilgrimage and respect to this day, marked by a plaque and fresh flowers. Just 3 years later, in 1539, Henry VIII closed all the monasteries across England. Most were destroyed or stripped bare, but Peterborough was saved. In 1541, Henry refounded it as a cathedral, making it a seat of a bishop and a center of worship forever. Only a few decades later, in 1587, history returned here. Mary, Queen of Scots, was executed at Fotheringhay Castle, just a few miles away. She was buried with full royal honors in Peterborough Cathedral on the orders of her son, King James I of England. She rested here for 25 years, until her son moved her body to Westminster Abbey in 1612 to be buried beside Elizabeth I. However, her original gravesite in Peterborough is still marked and honored. The next great challenge came during the English Civil War. In 1643, soldiers under Oliver Cromwell attacked the building. They smashed the stained glass windows, destroyed the high altar, broke statues, and pulled down the beautiful Lady Chapel at the East End. The damage was severe, and the building fell into disrepair for many years. Restoration only truly began in the 19th century. Between 1822 and 1830, work repaired the war damage and strengthened the structure. Later, in the 1880s, the central tower was rebuilt to its former glory. Even in modern times, the cathedral has faced threats. During the Second World War, it stood through bombing raids, protected only by volunteer fire watchers. In 2001, a serious fire damaged the south transept, but careful restoration brought it back to life by 2006. Today, Peterborough Cathedral stands as a masterpiece of survival. It is one of the best preserved Norman cathedrals in the world, a building that has seen Vikings, kings, queens, Reformation, war, and fire. But more than a historic monument,